Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Kallal. I'm a agronomist for DEKALB Asgro here in West Central Illinois. I want to take a few minutes today and review some data. This short little presentation is going to be about the 110 maturity in the DEKALB lineup. So those are the hybrids we're going to focus on in this little video. In this comparison, I'm showing everything versus 5982. 5982 is a great measuring stick for us as an organization because actually it's the largest volume hybrid in the DEKALB bag across the US. So as you look at this graph, I'm comparing all these other hybrids on this graph to 5982, which is right here in the center in the crosshair. So anything above horizontal center would be hybrids that are yielding more than 5982 this year. Anything below horizontal center would be hybrids that are yielding less than 5982 by these bushels over here on the left-hand side of the page. Anything right of vertical center would be hybrids that are wetter than 5982. Anything left of vertical center would be hybrids that are drier than 5982. So that's the setup of what we're looking at here. This is comprised of 2022 data only from just commercial trials. There's no breeder data involved in this cut. And the geography I'm using is a 150-mile radius of Springfield, so there's a considerable amount of real estate that's involved in this comparison. So let's look at a couple comparisons. So 6270, this number you see here, the N equals 131 after the 6270, that's the number of locations or number of comparisons that we've got in this data set. So there's 131 comparisons here. 6270 having a tremendous year this year, and it's repeating its kind of similar performance that it had a year ago, especially as we move south in the state. 6289 is having a phenomenal year, showing why it's in a DEKALB bag and really flexing its muscles and showing us the tremendous yield potential that hybrid has. The one probably that I'll call out that maybe most people most interested in is this comparison versus 11135. So right now 11135 is carrying just a little bit over a 5 bushel advantage over 5982 and just barely a tick wetter. And then you see some of these other hybrids here again below that we don't use all of these hybrids. A couple of them are new. I will just briefly mention 5626, noticeably drier than 5982 and yielding fairly close to 5982. It had similar type performance as an experimental and something that we may look forward to as we think about 2024 and maybe do some continuing testing in 2023 to see how that shakes out. So just a couple comments here directly about a few products. 5982 is having a tremendous year across my geography, across that I-72 corridor. As you move south, it is falling off a little bit. Still strong for the folks in Southern Illinois, but it is falling off a little bit. And that's where some of the strength of some of these other hybrids is really coming into play in these comparisons. 11135 is repeating that performance that we saw out of it as an experimental last year. As you go north of a 220 environment, that's where 11135 really has its strength at. In a 220 and lower yielding environment, they're generally kind of converge on each other and get a little bit more parity there between the two products. One thing I'll call out here with 11135 is I don't personally believe 11135 is really I'm not sure I want people to think about it as a direct replacement for 5982. There's a lot of people that have 5982. They're perfectly content with their 5982. They're happy with it, so continue to run there. So in those cases, 11135 could be used as maybe a bridge and maturity gap, right? So it could be the second hybrid for a guy after he's 5982. If there's guys that are not using 5982 today, and they're nervous about something sub 110, maybe 11135 is a new RM for them within the DEKALB lineup and can give them an option that they can have something a little bit earlier in our bag and could use that. So that's how I guess I kind of see us utilizing 11135 at this point. It does bring some considerably better plant health in season or disease tolerances. Versus a 5982 and much better grain as well. As I talked about a while ago, 6270 having a great year. One of the things we think we're noticing this year is maybe that drainage and maybe early drainage is kind of key with 6270. So keep that in mind. As I mentioned a second ago on the previous slide, 6289, this hybrid's 3 years old. A lot of people are just now hearing about it for the first time because of how great it's doing as far as yield. It's probably having the best year of its life. Really, we position the hybrid as a high management hybrid for the high yielding environment. So A couple comments here on 6253 and 5626. I've kind of hit on them already, but I guess the last thing I'll call out, in roughly a little over 500 comparisons, this group of hybrids is having about an 8 bushel advantage over some of our key competitor products. So appreciate you listening in. Hopefully it was worthwhile. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and be watching for some other videos from me as well to call out some of the other products in the lineup. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.